Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Moon Harvest, Amish Earther, Naughty Thumbnails, Mitch Kennedy, Original D Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMels24, Unimento, M Iron 26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Retro Bill, More Books, Canna Bear, Fiber Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Dal West Watson, Maria Nealands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Tina Baker, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. Another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Let me give it to you this way. How is Discord now, like after the show and before the show, as opposed to how it used to be, let's say, a year ago?
Well, that's kind of a tough question per se. Because like Discord in general, a year ago, Discord, this room, it's this room's more consistent.
That's what I'm talking about. The same people coming in, like remember when it used to be the dice, those innocent cleanses, and the other fools coming in talking nonsense all day long. Has it changed at all?
No, they're over the other rooms. No, that's what I'm saying. Depends on what room you're talking about. Did you go over there?
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Earth Awakening, they're the ones that talk to the ballers. And then there's two baller type Discord rooms. You got what's MMM, and then you have that same guy, Jim Panda. Yeah. I don't go over there though.
No. I'm talking about when they used to come, when it used to be like right after Nathan's show. That's when all of them would come out and then start talking.
Yeah, that's what I said, Neil. Yeah, they don't come in here so much, but they do those other places.
So you're saying they're over at Jim Panda's now?
Well, yeah, or that's a baller channel, but Earth Awakening is where they hang out. To where if you're asking like nothing ever changes, yeah, Earth Awakening. Like Nathan should drop in there someday. That'd be funny. Let me know if you ever decide to do that, Nathan.
I remember when I used to beg Nathan to go on 24/7. And then the one time he did, he wound up pissing off Battle Mod. And Battle Mod was like, I don't care who you are. Those were the days when they thought they had an argument, right?
It's interesting that Battle Mod responded the way he did when it wasn't Nathan saying like, well, I'm Nathan Oakley, I can do blah, blah, blah. He was like, I don't care who you are. Well, obviously you do. You would have made that statement.
Yeah, and I was like cringing because I like Battle Mod, I used to talk to him all the time. And I was like, oh no. But they were interrupting. Nathan had a guy on the freaking ropes, and then somebody from the peanut gallery coming in trying to change it. Nathan was just trying to hold this guy there, and it turned into a freaking nightmare.
Well, when you get them down and you get them to squeal, they start squealing out a bunch of nonsense because they'll say all sorts of crazy stuff. You know, and just that's when they just start like shooting as many baseless assertions just to try to get you off of them. You know.
Well, certain people deserve a certain amount of respect when they come somewhere, and they should, be given the floor and not interrupted. And I felt that Nathan was not given the floor uninterrupted. So I was a little annoyed at Battle Mod too, and I spoke to him afterwards.
Well, everybody, if they have a legitimate point to make, should be offered that courtesy. And like the moment you introduce fallacious logic, that's a good reason to interrupt someone. You know, if they're not doing that,
Yep.
then what are you doing?
Man, I'm so jealous of the Philadelphia Phillies. That stadium last night was rocking. I mean, it's insane. Old Yankee Stadium used to be like that, but it's all gone. Everything went to Philly. I don't know if you're aware, they beat the Atlanta Braves to move on to the National League Championship Series. And the Braves are like won the most games in the regular season, and they got knocked out.
That's how tournaments are.
Never the best team, it's the hottest team.
Yeah. What was they
that-
made that movie Moneyball about playing the stats, using problem stats and basing it, on that instead of talent,
Yeah, and
But
that's why he's never won a World Series. And well, recently.
but what they did for the money that they had invested in it was put a World Series contender on the field for just pennies compared to the other team.
Exactly, but they're only going to go so far. They're never going to get to the promised land. That's the whole thing about Moneyball. Anyway, funny to be speaking about a hole.
Yeah. Speaking illusion.
You still there, Neil?
Yeah. Dead air.
I don't hear him though.
Yeah, he's still here. He's
No.
just contemplating his foosball or whatever.
Well, since he's quiet for a second, I was thinking for people that can understand the Black Swan, why don't we try changing the terms up a little bit and saying like if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, then the physical or hold on a sec, because I was trying to get circumference into it and I can't remember the circumference. Let me go look at it right quick.
24,000.
Does anybody know it off the top of their head?
24,100.
All right, if the Earth is a sphere with a circumference of that, then the physical obstruction can be no further than 1.22 times the observer's height in feet. You know,
What physical obstruction?
the one that they claim the horizon is physically obstructing.
Oh, that obstruction.
Yeah.
Right here.
Ty, because there's a disconnect between horizon and obstruction in their minds.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. You have to really spell it out for them that when we talk about the horizon, we are talking about Earth curve.
Yeah, I'm not saying to replace the black swan. I'm just saying, to help someone understand it, reword it,
You're saying that someone will understand it better if they've got a circumferential value rather than a radial value?
No, I ain't saying that they will understand it better. I'm just saying there's a possibility that it would help them.
Maybe. I think the people who don't get it have got more problems than their cognition when it comes to radial values, circumferential values, or any other mathematical values. That's not the problem. It's the fundamentalist religious zealot belief that they have that's the problem.
Well, when you point out to the horizon and they say that's physically blocked, right? Well, what's physically obscuring that? If you use their language that they're using, maybe that would help them.
I don't know, John, because let me tell you something. When I was early in this argument, right? Flat Earther, I went to my barber and I was talking to him about it. And he said to me, yeah, but what about the horizon? Now, I didn't know anything back then. So they know what they're saying when they say horizon. Even the laymen know that when they say horizon, that means that's the curve of the earth. That's where it starts.
Yeah, I know that's where it starts, but I don't know. Sometimes rewording things can help someone get a grasp on
I'm not
what you're
against
saying.
it. I'm not against it. I'm just saying they know.
Like when you say geometric horizon, you put a word as a descriptor in front of the horizon, and that implies that there could be another horizon, but there's not.
Well, Rumpus will tell you, Q, he said there's 7 horizons.
Yeah, we only have one horizon, and the horizon in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator is geometric.
Right. So, but if you step away from horizon, what would they do with physical obstruction at that point? Like if you use a circumference and say the physical obstruction can be no further than 1.22 times the observer's height in feet, they ain't got all these different citations that talk about obstruction changes, It's just got the word horizon. The only reason I bring it up is because my daughter, she wasn't understanding something the other day, to her in a different way, and she got it.
I would say try it on the next fundy that comes, but like I say, the problem isn't that they won't understand the phraseology, it's that it opposes their religious belief at a base level, therefore it can't be understood by them.
Well, yeah. I mean, we were all part of that religion at one point in time on some level. So I don't know. I hold out hope for them. Well, I think I'm going to go make some coffee.
Well, let's hope the conversation resumes.
Yeah, I feel like I destroyed it. Let's talk about the Phillies.
I don't think you destroyed the conversation, but I don't think people care to know the truth either. There's some people just set, like Nathan describes their religious belief, and you're challenging their worldview, and they're just going to resist. Not for a lack of understanding or a lack of grasping the point. It's just they don't want it to be true. Because then you might be responsible to a God.
Normally everyone's all het up on a Friday.
Would you say responsible to?
Your creator.
Oh, responsible to
More,
a God. Okay, yeah, I got you.
yeah, moral agent.
Well, I've noticed a lot of people that get in this subject. One of the first things they do when they're faced with the idea is to feel trapped. Like somehow heliocentrism gives them freedom.
Oh, here we go again.
It's very spacious.
Right. And
I think
like
it's
when
very
you
true,
think of
John. I had a guy tell me. Yeah, man told me that would make God. If I was talking to him about containment, he got very upset. He said that means God is just a angry child with a magnifying glass.
No, I said the same thing to my brother when he started telling me. I was like, "What are you talking about? You're making God like he can't do anything." I didn't have him as an angry God, but I thought the glorious idea of the whole heliocentric system was like grand. Now you're telling me that we're just a little, you know, place, and he's just above us, and there's. So I took it the other way around, like he was taking glory away from God.
yeah, like somehow,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, like somehow the fact that the Earth's flat means that the world isn't as wondrous a place as it used to be, or something. Like they think they're taking a step back too, on top of feeling trapped and having the
Right.
dawning realization of a creator. There's a lot of things that go on in someone's head when they begin to contemplate this thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
that's what
layered
was
up.
going on in my head.
Well, it's been layered up
Sorry.
subliminally. So if you look beneath the video and it says that flat Earth's archaic, that's the notion that it's going to remain with you when you come to realise the awful truth or even contemplate the awful truth. And I say awful truth because it's not for me. It's quite the opposite. When you're like, oh no, you think you're regressing. It's like, no, the childlike wonderment returned. And you go, oh my God, we don't know what the sun is. Wow. Maybe I'll be the one to find out.
Yeah, but I like I was saying, like, what are you talking? Because think about the way the whole heliocentric system works, how we're turning it. You know, a little this way we'll fry, a little that way, you know, we'll freeze. And I thought everything was laid out perfectly and it was all divine until I realized that's not how it said it was in the Bible. And that's how he started really getting through to me.
So your standard of evidence was biblical evidence.
No, not just that. I started looking into other things too. But then he started breaking down how he started saying how God is more personal because he's right above us. He's not out in the, you know, somewhere far out in the galaxy. And the way he explained it, the way the Hebrews have the, you know, the sphere over the dome over the flat Earth. I think Rob Skiba had one of them type of things. But he was coming with a lot of feast of nonsense stuff too, like the ice wall and stuff like that. So man, thank God I found my way here. Thank you, Dave Weiss. The only good thing you did.
Do you think we all found our way here because we're contrarians and like we want to be skeptical of what people say? Because there's something different about us.
Yeah, we don't belong here. Like you said.
That might be it, but I don't think a hidden hand made me get to this point where I'm at. Unless you're talking about like the repository of all knowledge giving me revelation, you could call that a hidden hand, I guess. But yeah, I don't think there's a huge master plan behind it. I just think, we're all ignorant children. Even when you're 80, really, in the scheme of time, you're still young compared to the world. Maybe we could start making up stories about.
I think you start making a map. I think a map needs to be made.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I was just, I'm sorry. Yeah, it seemed like you were looking for like what's to do next. What are you guys gonna do next?
Well, I think what we're doing is all I can think to do. I'm open to suggestions.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just that when I heard the other day, like, oh, everybody's who says that the Antarctic wall is like the edge of a flat Earth, like, or this people speculate on that because, because they haven't been able to kind of go there, right? And because they want an accurate map. So it comes from the need for a map or the desire for a map.
But that glove model is a flat Earth map.
Phil Bell desires a map.
I agree to an extent, but there's just anomalies with declination, magnetic declination, right, and things of that sort. I mean, it's a projection of some known places, and then the rest of it, I would say, is just a projection based on the north and the sun's azimuth and the equator. Nobody traveled the south and mapped it all out. They just projected it.
Right, but when, like, say, Phil Bell says that he wants a flat Earth map, right? Can you name any map that's not a flat Earth map?
No. It's not. It's not about it's a globe or a flat Earth. It's just it's just a map. People want an actual map. Can't make a.
But the globe. But the thing is, even if the globe gave them that, right, it doesn't change away from the fact that the measurements are taken from a flat plane. So it's a flat plane map.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but it's just not. It's just not. People don't believe that it's complete, right? That there's probably something missing. There's probably some sort of distortion. Um, things are cut out, you know.
Right,
So you
but
either
for
have
them
to.
to say that before I'll believe you, you have to have a map, right? Uh, I've heard that. Your map is a flat Earth map. The one you believe in now is a flat Earth map. So what are you saying, really?
Yeah, it's not about. I guess it's not really about a. So they used to have a map, right, that encompassed the entire world. It was a world map, right? But America wasn't on it, right? And they're like, we know the entire world. Um, here's the map. We have it. We know everything, right? And then there's a story about some guy sailing and discovering new lands, right? Now they got a new map, right? So I mean, it's kind of in that context, not really about it being uh, a certain shape, unless it's a topographical map.
Well, but all maps utilize a flat plane, and so when they say they want an accurate map, uh, even the globe is taking
And what about
each
but what about when the
vertical.
flat earthers say, "I want an accurate map"? That's what I'm really saying.
Oh, I got you. I got you. I mean, that's a noble pursuit. Um, wouldn't knock anybody for trying to create one.
Yeah, I was just suggesting that the next thing you got, so I didn't really, I wasn't really around for the entire celestial navigation, which was like apparently like years, right? I was around for like 8 months of it, but um, I was just saying the next category could be maps. Yeah. Like how you derive it from a flat plane shore, right? That's just like step one. That's just like the obvious step that anybody who never considered globe in their mind would obviously go to, right? But then, there's more beyond that. Polar navigation and not North Pole, but just like a point. It's just ways to make a match. Yeah. It's kind of like Arwen was saying the other day. Right, it's a flat map. It's literally like a zero dimension map, right? So the star has a GP. Well, it's got the same GP at any elevation, like no matter how high up you are, it's the same GP. Uh, so it's just a perfectly flat map. I see that didn't do for you. So what you're really saying is like, what more can we do with the information we already have without learning more and doing more? That's it's not a bad idea too. I mean, who wants to keep learning forever? Here's an idea for you. Here's an idea. So every like Wednesday, call it like Wacky Wednesday or something. Every Wednesday, Neil can head up the show, and we'll see what he's got.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Let's put him in charge now. Warm everyone up, Neil.
Good morning, people.
Morning.
Hey, did y'all
There's a
go over
train
the
coming.
fact that it's October, Friday the 13th?
Not supposed to say the date.
It's a bewitching day, as they say. I fed a black cat this morning. Hey, check it out. Everybody look under your seats right now because I've got a plumb bob for everybody. You get a plumb bob. You get a plumb bob. You get a plumb bob. Right.
Dude, I got a water
So,
level. What the fuck?
okay. All right. Now, I know
No swearing.
that the word the word yesterday going around was all this repeating, but I want to loop something back around. It may be a little more uh, well-defined question for you guys. So I want to start off with a question, and it's just I'm going to leave it at that and let it sink in a little bit before there's a step two. But here's the question: is there such thing as a straight up and straight down?
Are you really going to go with this again? What happened the
Yeah,
last
is there
time?
such? Hold on, Neil. I'm not asking if there's an up or down or what causes up or down. Just asking us simply: is there such thing as a straight up and straight down? Yeah.
Neil's gonna take it.
Come on, guys. Just
Do you have a reference?
binary
Just
question.
joined.
Is there?
Just joined. I just joined. What do you have a reference frame that you're talking about this, or are you? What's your reference frame that you're asking that from?
There
Hey,
can only
Tim.
be one reference.
No, I'm just asking.
I'm asking you, what reference frame are you using when you say straight up or straight down?
Reference frame. I'm just asking.
And I'm just
I'm not
asking
referring to a,
myself.
well,
How
I'm not
come you
referring
can't
to a
understand?
reference frame. I didn't
Okay.
have a reference frame
Well
in
then,
mind.
straight up and straight down is relative to your reference frame.
Is it?
Well, you can't answer my question. I know that if
Well,
I have a reference,
let me
okay.
ask. Oh, okay. How would we know if there's a absolute straight up and straight down?
There isn't. We covered this.
Oh God, this is what I'm saying again.
Reminds me of
You-
an old saying: "Wise men speak because they have something to say, but fools because they have to say something." That's Plato.
Nice.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
We're still waiting for an answer from the ball side, but no, impossible.
Well, only with curved geometry.
What? Curved geometry? I mean, geometry is geometry. There might be curves in geometry, but we're asking for elevation angle measurements from curved baselines.
Well, you need curved geometry, and curved geometry is not geometry, it's curved geometry.
Okay, whatever. Any evidence that you can get that elevation angle measurement that's used throughout navigation and mapping?
Not from a curved surface.
Except in curved geometry, where you can think of
Well,
it as the flat
does
plane
your
as a curved, right?
Does that have a 90 degree in that curved geometry?
Not literally.
Okay, thank you.
And if you can't get it from the curved surface and they do celestial navigation, where do they claim that we're getting it from?
From a horizontal surface, which they cannot do from the surface of their dingleberry Earth, so they have to go to the center, the equatorial plane. So even in their own books, it's coming from an equatorial plane, which means it's never originating from a curved surface, which it needs to, but it's not, because it's impossible.
It's not a claim either, it's a measurement. 40 people watching already. Wow, we've only just started. Woohoo! Please share the show. If you just got here, you've obviously been waiting and you're keen. But yeah, just share the show. I'm sure we'll get over 100 people, given there's enough people watching straight away. Okay, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge then? Horizon, formerly known as Earth curve?
Well, it needs to be geometric, but it's not. They keep referring to refraction, so ball game over. Welcome to Flat Earth.
What are we covering today, 10th? I've just had a look at Master B and there's nothing there.
No, I'm actually getting it ready to go there. It's an interesting. It's an older find that I'm putting together for you. So it's Antony Flew, the noted British atheist, debating Gary Habermas on the Bible, God, the scriptures.
Wrong show.
Earth.
Wrong show.
Hang on. No, listen. He brings in Copernicus as the reason why he's an atheist, and then later something happens in the second video where Antony Flew is no longer an atheist because of DNA. But it's the words he uses, because the whole purpose of them trashing the Bible, the Genesis account of creation, that's when I say Bible, I'm talking about the creation story, because it is about our show. It's about the Copernican model, which came in to say, no, the Earth is not the center of the universe. We're orbiting, we're doing this, we're flying around. But the two work hand in hand to show, why would this atheist be an atheist? Because he thought the Copernicus model destroyed the creation story. But then later, because he saw the validity of DNA, all of a sudden say, no, I believe there is a creator. Now, he's not necessarily saying he believes in the creator that's in the Bible, but he's no longer an atheist. But I find it quite nice that it made a change in his life.
Okay, I mean, given that I linked acoustics to Flat Earth yesterday, I don't think I've got any room to object, have I?
Well, it's a running theme anyway between the biblical story of creation, where we use the first law of thermodynamics. You know, there has to be a creator for everything, and then them coming in with Big Bang, evolution, and Copernican, and saying no, there doesn't, and then all of a sudden he changes because of DNA. So there has to be a creator for DNA, but he didn't worry about that when he had his view about creation. Is my point.
What's all this second guessing about 10th videos? Don't you trust him? Play the video.
You can't be too compliant, Neil. Got to keep people frosty. Treat them mean, keep them keen. You know the score.
No,
Okay.
I mean, you can't help but have some things cross over, but this is a show on physics and geometries, and that's the way I like it.
I just want to run something by the audience on behalf of John. Feel free to stop me if you want to do this, John. Refractive curvature. I'm just going to run something by the audience, and whether or not it puts a light bulb over anybody's head, we'll find out from the comment section, right? You're just going to hear our rendition of the Black Swan with a subtle alteration. If Earth was a sphere with a circumference of 24,901 miles, then every distance to the physical geometric horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Distance to the horizon in the Black Swan is beyond 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere with a circumference of 24,901 miles, and the horizon is not Earth curve.
Well, I was going to say the physical obstruction, and because they claim that the horizon is a physical obstruction. So it's something about that connection in their mind, and saying it another way maybe to help them.
So it's not just the circumference bit that you want me to alter subtly. It's the distance to the physical obstruction can be no more than.
Yeah.
Just in the pre-show, John was saying, there's sometimes you'll phrase something to somebody and they may not get it. Now, immediately my reaction was the reason the people who are watching us in that regard aren't getting the Black Swan is not because of their comprehension skills when it comes to phraseology, but that's a different issue. However, there may be people who are listening that aren't here to simply say, no, you're wrong, you don't understand, that just want to understand it and haven't yet, for whatever reason. And a repackaging of the same exact argument, just with subtly different words. And I can completely agree with you. When QE was essentially educating me in this subject, one of the things I'd say to him was, okay, say the exact same thing again, but just slightly different words, please. In other words, give it me again, but use similes.
So is John asking you to... Is he asking us to dumb it down, maybe?
No, he's not asking us to dumb it down. He's asking us to just slightly rephrase it, because sometimes that's all it takes for somebody to have the penny drop. Instead of distance to horizon, well, the distance to the physical obstruction, or distance to however you want to phrase it differently, so that it just makes someone's light bulb appear over their head. You know what I mean? Get it?
So why can't you say physical obstruction of the horizon?
Say whatever you like, Neil. The point is that if we keep it rigid in terms of the phrasing, as long as the modus tollens stands true, don't alter the statement in the logical consistency, because that's like a sin then, as opposed to helpful. You know what I mean? So don't do it if you don't know what you're doing, because it might be that your subtle alteration literally changes the consistency of the logic. Well, don't let that happen. But beyond that,
Nathan,
go on.
Yeah, you've done this before, and I like it. I like what John is trying to do here. You need like a preamble before you do the Black Swan with people, because there were things based on the horizon that the globetrotters use that is in the Black Swan, which is the horizon. So the whole point is, how did they get Earth's globular shape using the horizon? Well, they looked at the horizon and Al-Biruni. So we tell the Al-Biruni story. Okay, well, if it's refracted, and he didn't know anything about refraction, so he didn't account for it. So we know that too. So when you tell the story, okay, so they use the horizon to predict we live on the globe because it's an assumption. That's right. But if the horizon is changing all the time, then it's no longer physical. Do you understand that?
Okay,
because then one day the globe would be bigger.
So you're saying it needs a preamble to the effect of the general worldview is that the horizon is a hill getting in the way of stuff called Earth curve.
Yep.
And with that in mind, there's maths for the hill getting in your way. It puts it at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That hill getting in the way of stuff called Earth curve. However, we can show... Just destroy this, Neil. Go ahead. It's not like I'm doing it on the fly and really concentrating or anything.
Sorry, I thought you stopped. Go ahead.
Yeah, what, in the middle of the sentence? In the middle of the modus tollens? Obviously, the middle of the modus tollens is where I'm going to be stopping. Yes, that's right, Neil. Go ahead. Bloody hellfire.
I was just going to say,
more than 60 watching.
Hasn't it been done already with QE's new housekeeping question? Is there any evidence that you can have a horizon on a sphere Earth?
I don't actually understand that argument. I'm yet to watch QE's Tuesday show. And he refused to tell me beforehand. Slope-a-dope. I get the name.
Well, let's try that again, Nathan. So the preamble is...
People think that there's a physical obstruction to your view at the horizon called Earth curve. They think that it gets in the way of boats and buildings, and that it is getting in the way at the rate of 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Here it is in your maths. But if that was the case, then the horizon couldn't be any further than the math says it is when claimed to be a physical hill in the way. And we've got photos that show the hill isn't in the way. It's behind the stuff it's supposed to be blocking. Therefore, it ain't a hill getting in the way, based on the sphere geometry at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet in your Earth curve maths. That's the exact same argument, just, as Neil would put it, dumbed down a bit.
Yeah, and this is what gets, because in their mind, meaning when I've had conversations with people who really are trying to understand why I have my position and why I disagree with theirs, is just that. It's like, what is that obstruction? It's supposed to be blocking the bottoms of boats and buildings. So something blocking something would have to be physical. It would have to be an obstruction, unless you want to relabel it a refraction, a mirage, or an optical effect. Would you agree? Yes. Okay, great. So, well, go on, John.
I feel like people think I'm trying to replace the Black Swan.
He just wants the credit. He's just trying to steal the credit.
No, I'm not.
That's not what we think.
I wasn't even thinking that.
I was. It's outrageous.
Trying to get people to understand it.
If he rephrases it, suddenly it becomes his, her, like the Mexican equivalent of the Black Swan. It's a bloody outrage.
I'm doing what you're doing, John. I'm doing a preamble so they can understand the Black Swan as stated by QE and the modus tollens the way we understand it. I mean, we get it because we get it. It's simple. You got to have something physical blocking if it's going to be a sphere with a radius of 3959 at a given point to match that claim. But since we know it's all an assumption, whether you use Eratosthenes, who needed a flat plane to get the shadow, which we know that all roads lead to flat Earth. Let's just put it that way.
Quite the contrary, though. We are attempting to empower the audience when it comes to debate from the flat Earth perspective, and indeed from the globe Earth perspective. We know your arguments better than you do now. We know the heliocentric model and where it originates better than you. So if you want an advanced heliocentric knowledge, this is the place to find that as well. How arrogant.
Exactly.
But true.
Exactly. So anyway, rounding it off, once they commit, see, I like to get people to commit to their position first. You know, if I'm debating someone who believes we live on a globe, and I'd say, so the obstruction of the bottom of boats and buildings, is that proof of a globe? Well, I want them to tell me yes. Because you would have to. And so on the minute they say yes, they're done.
As long as you appreciate the form of the logical consistency that is the Black Swan, you can, and we encourage you to, take ownership of the argument. Now, if your repackaging of it weakens it in some way, then obviously that's not going to get any kudos. But if you're repackaging it because you want to, maybe it is because you want to take ownership of it and call it your own, good. If that's what you've got to do that, then good. I encourage you to do that. Now, if it's because you just a miser and you don't want to give QE credit, good, fine, no worries. It's not necessary to give QE credit for an argument that you win because you've understood it when it originated with QE. You know, it's the same exact principle.
Wait a minute. Who's even taking it to that point? QE came out with the Black Swan with the modus tollens.
We jokingly said that, or I did, that John, that's refracted curvature, was attempting to paraphrase it so that it became his. And I was like, yeah, he's trying to steal credit, steal that. No. I'm trying to flip that on its head and say that sarcasm was there for this reason. Because quite to the contrary, I encourage the opposite. You know, when I'm arguing with Jaron to my detriment when I'm being called a scammer, the upside to it, the hope, is that he will take arguments and own them so that he wins with them. So that he, as an ambassador for Flat Earth, represents me better than he currently does. So it's not that I want him to say Nathan's scientific method, like QE gets accused of. Now, while that might be flattering sometimes, and we all laugh about it when people call the scientific method quantum erasers, that isn't the aim. The aim is that you understand it so that you can embrace it and then take ownership of it, at which point you can win with it. But whether or not you choose to give credit is irrelevant. Now, does it change that we understand implicitly that the argument originated with QE? No. Does it change implicitly that the original observation and namesake of the argument came from BLMSB 69? No. None of those things change. But you understanding it to the point where you could paraphrase it into a slightly subtly different phraseology, so that somebody who hasn't got it up until now might just get it where they hadn't before, then I absolutely encourage people to do that. And smile and smirk and take the win when you get it. Don't say, oh, well, I have to pass this win on to Quantum Eraser because it's his argument. No. Just bask in the glory if you won with it, because you understood it to the point where you could put it into effect. These are merely tools fashioned by Quantum Eraser. But once you pick up that sword, it becomes yours.
Well, when they say that X is below sea level, physical geometric horizon, which you could only see if there was no atmosphere, they're done. How did they ever measure Earth to get the radius?
70 plus people watching now. Much better viewing figures today than yesterday. It was bloody awful for some reason. Nevertheless, thank you very much for all you smash that share button. Please share the show if you've not done so already. We will get onto a video that was preambled
you're not gonna comment on No Atmo Day.
What is it? No Atmo Day? Which one do you want? Antony Flew, right?
Well, when you said that we know their arguments better than they do, we can set traps for them because they have a measurement on a No Atmo Day. When was that ever done?
It wasn't, but my point in saying that was to lead on. I'm not decrying what you've just said, but I'm saying the reason I dropped that in is to say that when you come here to gain a knowledge of the arguments that we put down and talk about and discuss and refine here, it isn't so that we can achieve credit. It's not some, it's not us reaching out so that you'll spread the good word. That you can do when I call you to action to share the show. But as for someone who comes here saying, for the sake of argument, one of the catchphrases, literally one of the terms that's come directly from the show, for example, you're going to need a flat earth for that. Well, then, again, no credit is required if you're saying it because you've just made a damn good argument that someone can't overcome, or more likely, if it was in line with the reason we use it, because you've taken a little shortcut and pointed out how their globe argument required a flat earth in the first instance. You're going to need a flat earth for that, being the analogy, because you're on a highway in a Lamborghini, cutting through all the dross with the guy underneath you in a Yugo, picking his way through the weeds, trying to argue within the heliocentric begging the question fallacy, when the entire premise for both sides of the argument originated in a flat earth measurement. That identification in the argument is where we would say, you're going to need a flat earth for that. But were someone else to do it, take a shortcut and get you straight to the flat plane requirement, do you have to credit refracted curvature? Do you have to give John credit? No. Bask in the glory. You own that argument now. If someone asks you, where'd you get the sword? I'm nearly done. If someone asks you, where'd you get the sword? That's a bloody good argument. Yeah, you might want to credit the person that you originally got it from. Yeah, I got this argument from QE. I was watching Flat Earth Debate. Heard them take someone's head off with it and just thought, I'll have that. I say it overtly when I hear a good argument or a good catchphrase. I'm having that. Copyright Nathan Oakley. It sounds like a joke, but it's not. It's me declaring, yeah, I'm going to take ownership of that. That's awesome. So much so I want it. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. I'm done.
That's why I don't understand what this is taking credit, because I always thought that once you are the one bringing the argument to someone else, it becomes yours. So I don't understand this, why taking this one's credit or taking that one's credit. It's yours now.
Well, strictly it was Brian's a couple of weeks before that, but yeah, your point stands.
Okay, so I get it. Before you start the review video, you had it on the wrong one. If that's the one I saw, you need to go to the first one at the hour and 7 minute mark, and I show you where to end it. That'd be the first part. So anyway, I came in late on the show. So you're talking about credit, where I'm still using it as an argument, but I get what you're saying now.
Okay, do you want to give a preamble to this video? This is Jesus' resurrection true? Antony Flew and Gary, is it You'll have to say that.
Habermas, I believe.
Habermas. at Cal
Yeah.
Poly, and the videographer's channel in this instance is the Veritas Forum. Is that right?
But this is more of an educational video just for us. It's not necessary you have to respond to this video. I ran across this a while back ago, a real long time ago. And I remember getting upset that Antony Flew chose to be an atheist based on the Copernican lie. And so he talks about God, the Bible, and how would the creator tell one story, and then we find out through science, Copernicus is the true science. And so he, why should he believe God in the Bible? And so to me, it was like a clarion call for me to say, you know what, I'm tired of people misrepresenting creation, that you need a creator, and then this Copernican lie, which is I want to take apart, of the Earth not being the center of the universe anymore. So this is where the first video is what Antony Flew is using to say, see, this is why I don't believe the creation story and that there's a creator. Because why would he tell those people in the Bible one thing, and then we find out that Copernicus was right? And then later, the second video is the same person, Antony Flew, who saw the evidence from DNA, the complexity part, okay, as you'll see. And he says, you know what? There has to be a creator. So the whole point is, if he had realized the Copernican theory was a lie, he would have had reached this point earlier.
Okay, so the link to the Veritas Forum is going to be going, or it is going by, you can see it in the chat now. But I just want to make a quick note. It's on a complete side subject, so I'm sorry to segue. But Iron FE, about 20 minutes ago, said to me in the chat, at Nathan Oakley 1980, remove heart from the live stream chat. It can be turned off. The setting, blah, 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 blah. Live reactions, thank you. Right? Well, does anybody remember a viewer called Shroominati? Anybody remember Shroomy? God.
I do.
Oh, why don't you say yes then? Bloody hell. 90 people watching, just say yes. Right. What Shroomy used to do in the live stream chats, right, was he'd spam smiley faces or 666, 999, things like that, right? Just over and over and over again. Because some people have got OCD and they need to do that. They need to have something, to press over and over again. Well, YouTube have figured that out and gone, if that's what you want, if that's what you need, then we will give it you. And you can see here, there's a reactions tab, right? So you click on a heart and a bazillion hearts go by in the chat, right? It doesn't disturb anybody. It lets that particular viewer fulfill their need that they want from the chat. I think it's absolutely genius. So as soon as he said it, the reason I brought up Iron FE was because there was a moderate amount of reactions going on. The moment he said that, it has not stopped since. I just thought I'd make a note of it because it amused me. Nothing else, totally non sequitur to what we were just about to cover. There's a link going by to that, which is far more important, in the live stream chat show. Please let them know, as always, regardless of their connection to this original video or not, that Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and let them know we responded to this video, regardless of its origins. So yes, please let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and I may as well highlight the reason we do that. Sharing the algorithmic love with them, giving them comments, giving them likes and all the rest of it. So that hopefully, the vain hope is that one day, one of these videographers will actually respond and put a link to our video, because we get absolutely no YouTube algorithmic love whatsoever. And the only way we do is by my very gracious audience going out and sharing the show. Please share the show if you've not done so already. Warm welcome, as we're edging up to 200 people watching. Great, great, great. Yeah, that's how we get our shares. That's how people get to 100 viewers in these sorts of shows. So hopefully that would have a positive effect for us, were they to do the same as we are doing now when you go to their video, to let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. There you go. There's my preamble over. We will now actually get into this video. So let's do it. Feel free to pipe up if you have any. Is it just a small section from 1 minute 7? 10th.
Yes, it's 107 until the end. I put the end there as well.
He was an irrational man being in that position. And I think this idea can be extended to many other things, to some of the most recent arguments for the existence of God. I think what they call it, the view about the.
While he figures out what the hell he's saying, who's the guy talking? Is it Antony Flew
That's
talking?
Antony Flew.
Okay.
That's Antony Flew.
Physical constant, yes.
Yeah.
The people who already believe in God, I think they are quite rational in thinking that this is a confirmation, and ditto with the Big Bang theory. But I don't think, and this I think will become clearly with the fine-tuning argument, thanks for the reminder, with the case of that, because if the main purpose of the God in creating the whole universe was to have human beings, as would appear from the book of Genesis, in which...
Or is this guy in opposition? What side of the argument does Antony Flew sit on?
Well, he's the atheist. He's in opposition of the origin of Genesis and the veracity of it. And what he's saying here is interesting because this is what we're trying to fight. The so-called church, whoever you want to ascribe that to, say, oh, the Big Bang? Yeah, God's responsible for Big Bang. And so Antony Flew is saying, how in the world can you have the Genesis story and at the same time say the Big Bang is from God? And he says ditto on that theory. So he's about to make a case against it.
Gotcha.
Which the God is not apparently a sustaining but only an initiating cause, and therefore his creatures are reasonably free human beings. If his purpose of that, he would surely have created the universe as all the scientists of the Middle Ages believed he had, as the center of the universe. You know, as the view that was overthrown by the scientific work of Copernicus.
So that's the key. If it's God and it's all the Middle Ages and all the people from the beginning give credit to God that Earth is the center of the universe, then why did Copernicus, through the scientific means, overthrow it? So here we go.
Overthrow it. He postulated a system at the best of the church out of necessity for better predictive capabilities. But just to describe what Copernicus did as overthrowing geocentrism, it's like, what is geocentrism? A way of understanding the way the stars move? It's just a different way of understanding this. But this whole notion that Copernicus somehow dictates the world that we live in is respun to Copernicus discovered how we're moving around the sun. No.
But the idea...
I know, but hang on. But you see, it's being twisted to where this is, again, we're back into the usage of the word science because he brought it in. So science all of a sudden is veracity no matter what, right? So, but it, like you just said, he didn't do that. So the Bible is geocentric and heliocentrism is sun-centric. So then that means the Bible is wrong and science has proven the Bible is wrong. So how can we trust it? This is where he's going.
That the creator of the universe would plan the universe so the eventual emergence of Earth and human beings was the product of an extraordinarily unlikely coincidence of the physical constants, all of which he presumably formed as the creator of the universe. It seems
It's so odd when I hear positions like this. Obviously, I don't necessarily have too many horses in this race. However, when you hear your opponent essentially paraphrasing one of your own arguments, but in the affirmative for atheism, you're like, hold on a second. To say, well, for God to have, and then put all of our positions for how nonsensical the Big Bang is, but to say, but that's how nonsense it would be for God. You're like, hold on, all you've done is taken every single objection that we could ever take against the Big Bang, but ascribe all of those nonsensical realizations to God. Like, oh, wow, we have that. People throw our own arguments back at us like it's somehow a victory for them. All you're doing is undoing Lemaitre's Big Bang, and Copernicus's sun-centric system that he invented.
Yeah,
Seems
it's
to
more
me-
confessional. But hold on, it's confessional debating again.
Yeah, confessional debating. Yeah, you coined that phrase. Yes, that's exactly right.
It's positively preposterous to think of this as a positive reason for unbelievers to believe that God created the universe.
And that's him paraphrasing. How did you call it again, Arwin? Confessional debating. Let's just hear him spin the coin twice to flip it back into the positive of atheism for unbelievers. Let's just paraphrase that.
Positively preposterous to think of this as a positive reason for unbelievers to believe that God created the universe.
Well, what a convoluted gaggle screw to get back to, yeah, this means that heliocentric assertions are wrong. But if you ascribe those wrong assertions to God...
But I think it's reasonable enough for the people who believe that already to say...
Oh, I see. So if you already believe in Lemaitre's Big Bang and Copernicus's sun-centric system that he used to better describe the movement of the heavens, well, then it's perfectly acceptable. It's not preposterous at all. It's only preposterous to ascribe it to a god. I see. No, it's men and their ideas that you're describing as preposterous or otherwise, as opposed to God's handiwork. That is not what you're describing. Copernicus and his descriptions are not God's handiwork. Oh, far from it. Oh, no. Lemaitre and his Big Bang? You think that's God's handiwork? No, these are mere mortal men's descriptions. Best guesses. After having a little look at God's handiwork. It's absolutely pathetic when you break it down. But you think the weaselly, wankery shiteness that they've come up with as mere mortals can then be described as being ascribable to God in the negative for how crap it is, and then say, oh, but it's okay if you already believe that crap. If you already know that's the way the world is. Wow, what beautiful logic. 10th, I'm enjoying this a lot more than I expected.
Say, God!
Oh dear, what's happened there?
This is confirmation. You show that he planned it all in this extremely subtle way, and he made all the physical constants combined in this way so that it would happen like that. And
it would be wonderful.
So he's saying that the nonsensical, illogical formation of life in the heliocentric, Big Bang-based Copernican world is so illogical and nonsensical, it's so low in probability to even occur in the first place that it would be absurd for God to have done that. That's his argument. You're like, okay, well, let's just lob off the if God did that and take all of the nonsensical, highly likely reasons for your existence in the world and life formation and say, well, that makes them equally just as absurd by the same standard. What they would then do is say, no, because there's a very small probability it will happen over a given period of time that's long enough, it will. That's their argument in response. But in the negative, when it's extremely unlikely to be the reason, and therefore, why would God have it happen that way? That's somehow a good argument. I wish I could remember Arwen's phraseology. It's such a good turn of phrase. Confessional debating. Right.
Yeah, confessional debating. He seems very triggered, by the way. Like, he's almost moving like I am when I go rage win.
No, he's actually very excited because he's thinking he's making a point. By the way, you reached the end of that first video.
Good video. I enjoyed that immensely. Right, what's the timestamp on the second one?
It's the whole video. It's a short video as well.
Professor Antony Flew of England and Reading University is the world's foremost academic atheist over the last 50 years and the author of more than 30 books. His first debate with former atheist-turned-Christian C.S. Lewis in 1950 in Oxford, England.
Did anybody else know that about C.S. Lewis? Atheist-turned-Christian. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Was the first time.
Don't get me wrong about the stories, Neil. That's not what I'm saying. I just didn't know that was a factual statement about him. You don't know if you don't know, right?
He advanced his argument for atheism. He later wrote a paper titled Theology and Falsification. The paper became the most widely reprinted philosophical publication of the last half-century.
So useful, isn't he? C.S. Lewis. So many examples.
and a key foundation for atheists and agnostics who advanced materialist evolutionism. Flu's main theses were...
That was a reference to Anthony Flew publishing papers, not C.S. Lewis.
No, I know it wasn't. I was just making a note out of nothingness in regards to C.S. Lewis in general, just because we talk about his books all the time, or we've got loads of catchphrases.
Right, gotcha.
Were that the universe is eternal. It has always existed and always will, that life is a random process, the result or accidental product of chemical interactions. And third, the existence of God is a self-contradiction, and evil is not compatible with the existence of God.
Sorry, did you want to unpack those? No, clearly not.
No, I think that's the summary is saying how they use these arguments against the existence of God. So just let it play on. You're going to see where
we start and stop with the universe itself, with the everyday world of common sense and common experience, and with those hidden mechanisms of that world which are progressively revealed by the advance of science.
But now it is the advancement of science itself that has changed the mind of Flew and some scientists.
Like, what? Science doesn't change anybody's minds about anything. It establishes empirically causes of effects. So to have the inference that somehow you're going to have people changing their mind already tells me that this is working in a realm where the skids have already been greased for science changing its mind, having changes of hearts, changing the stories. Because in reality, if you're talking about science, you're just talking about an empirical outcome that's been validated through systematic experimentation after formulation of a hypothesis, after looking at something and going, I wonder why that happens, and then finding out why with an experiment. So that is not what they're talking about when they talk in this manner. They're talking about the greasing of the skids of pseudoscience already.
This is why I thought you'd like this video, the two together, especially this part, because you have already stated so many times that they steal the valor of science and they use it for everything. So here's Anthony Flew trusting that it was science that proved the Copernican model. And so he remained an atheist based on this so-called science. And then all of a sudden he sees science prove DNA and he says, wait a minute, that changes the previous science that made me think I was an atheist.
At a recent summit at New York University, Flew changed his position and now believes in God as the creator of the universe.
It is all, in my view, a matter of the enormous complexity by which the results are achieved, which look to me like the work of intelligence.
Flew discussed the points with...
Wow. First sip of your cup from the cup of natural science will make you an atheist. But at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you. Werner Heisenberg.
Professor Gerald Schroeder, who was with the Weizmann Institute of Jerusalem and MIT, and Professor John Haldane of the University of St. Andrews. Flew turns to various discoveries of science to prove his point. From the fossil records showing the sudden appearance of a fully developed life to the emergence of visual consciousness across the animal kingdom...
What? I love these baseless assertions.
...to the basic need for reproduction. But it is the manifestation of life written in DNA and the transcription of DNA to RNA and RNA into protein and the subsequent process of protein folding that makes the best case for Flew.
Shorthand for what we were discussing yesterday with Nathan from Discord. Information.
What I think that the DNA material has done has shown by its almost unbelievable complexity.
What, that would be functional sequence specified complexity?
Of the arrangements which lead to produce this being. But intelligence must have been involved in getting these extraordinarily diverse elements to work together.
Loosely translated, there is no chance that this could have come to pass through chance and happenstance. Nature did not create this. There is a God.
Sorry. procuring that. But without a
Indeed.
designer, that's not going to happen. Complex systems like that don't assemble themselves. It contradicts entropy.
No, indeed. So it's the sandcastle example from Quantum Eraser, where if you're sat at the beach and you watch the tide roll in, the storms roll in, you're there for a very long period of time. Just to assert that out of nothing came life in the primordial soup that they describe is akin, on a much more simplistic level, to you sitting around long enough for a fully plumbed and electrically wired sandcastle to wash up with one of the waves. So this is QE's description of functional sequence specified complexity. If you want to check out one of QE's, they're probably in his God presentation, Scientific Evidence of God, probably. Nevertheless, that's what he was just talking about, very specifically. In his example, it's RNA, DNA, the information contained therein, and the discovery of is God at the bottom of the glass. There's no other way of describing it. When he described the intelligence, yeah, he's talking about the intelligence of an external entity in the ontological primitives. He's talking about the creation of the world.
As for the battle between evolution versus creation,
it just lost.
In the classrooms, it seems it may never end.
No, it just lost. You're having a laugh. The end of the discussion. You've got a first law of thermodynamics violation. That would be Lemaitre, who came up with the story. Oh, well, you might believe it already. According to the last video, where it's more recent than this, but there we go. The guy seems to like to contradict himself, and that's obviously why we're covering this video in this order. Anyway, it just lost. You don't have first law of thermodynamics violations inducing functional sequence specified complexity. Now, you've only got to see it with your own eyes, in this case, for Antony Flew, in the case of RNA. Once you see that, you can't unsee it. That's it. It's the end. The ontological primitives have been answered. He just answered them in terms of the intelligence required.
But it may be explained best by re-quoting Flew.
Which looked to me like the work of intelligence.
Boom! Yeah, you damn Skippy.
What were some of the factors that prompted you to, in recent years, reconsider atheism and to come to the conclusion that that there is a intelligence?
It's been
Why do people hesitate to say God? Because it scares them. So he knows what's being talked about. The interviewer hesitated and then used the interviewee's words rather than the word of God. It scares the crap out of people.
entirely these, I suppose, biological discoveries.
Functional sequence specified complexity.
And discoveries about the chemistry.
So
these things.
The complexity and...
Yeah, the integrated complexity argument.
Now, when you talk about the integrated complexity,
yeah.
Is it the unlikelihood of that developing naturalistically?
What's going on with the camera? You're asking me the most profound, fundamental questions about the world. I mean, again, they're like yesterday. And what's the cameraman doing? I need to get a better angle. Just leave the camera alone. Listen to what the guy's saying. My God. Is it me? Is it the same thing? And maybe it's not connected, but the guy shifting around with the camera is, to me, a metaphor for someone shifting uncomfortably in their seat.
The first complex integrated biological system, is that where the problem you saw?
Well, yes, because after all, there is a problem about even, well, of physical nature. There's it's if the integrated complexity of the physical world is a good reason, as Einstein clearly thought it was, of believing that there was an intelligence behind it, then this argument applies a fortiori with the inordinately greater.
There's some Latin I don't know. A fortiora. What does that mean? Anybody good at Latin? No. Maybe someone will let me know in the chat. It's Paula in the chat. She knows our Latin far better than I do. The new one on me. Anyone ever heard that saying? That phraseology? I want to hear it again.
No.
It's like silk, wasn't it? Let's hear it again.
Integrated intelligence behind it, then this argument applies a fortiori with the inordinately greater integrated complexity of the living world. It seems.
Yeah,
sounds like correct. Something moving forward would be more complex than what started it. Something like that.
Well, he's got much better language than I, but he's describing the sandcastle, isn't he? In terms of the complexity, it's akin to a sandcastle washing up, as per my example from Quantum Eraser earlier. That's what he's saying. He's saying, like, this is orders of magnitude more complex. The way that this poofing itself into existence, there's just no chance. He's just got much better language than I.
Seems to me this is just obvious that that argument is much stronger now.
And this was one of the factors that led you to conclude there must be an intelligence.
Yeah. It was accepting.
It is inevitable.
Einstein, who after all was the person who's qualified to judge, and seeing that a fortiori this applied, where of course Einstein didn't have any authority at all and wasn't inclined reasonably enough to talk about it.
Professor Antony.
Very good. Thank you, 10th.
I got your A fortiora coming.
You know what it means?
Yeah, I'm posting it right now.
Oh, okay. Well, while you're doing that, I'll shout out Unitox Femi. Sasha, it says, I don't know what to write. Because of that, I will point Genesis 1969. What? NASA said to be vacuum and be vacuum. Okay, I kind of get where you're going with the gag, Sasha. You're kind of making it seem like that's a Bible verse. I've completely butchered the humor, though, haven't I? Thank you for the super chat, though. I really appreciate it.
All right, it's posted to the Master B, A fortiora.
You read it?
Sure. Argumentum a fortiora. Literally, argument from the stronger, brackets reason, is a form of argumentation that draws upon existing confidence in a proposition to argue in favor of a second proposition that is held to be implicit in and even more certain than the first.
AKA the ontological primitives. Excellent. That's a new one on me.
That's a good word. I like it already.
I like it too. I love a bit of Latin.
But so my comments on this is seeing it from a different angle, obviously, but there are many viewpoints that would be correct just as well that someone else could make. I go back to the first debate when he was an atheist before his DNA finding changed his mind about a creator. Like, didn't he know about the first law of thermodynamics then? And if he did, how come he didn't use that a fortiora? How come he didn't use the, nature can create itself? First law of thermodynamics says that, so there must be an outside influence. And since we're intelligent and we can't be lesser than where we came from, that means where we came from must have intelligence. So he didn't go there when he was an atheist. He needed something else that what he deemed as science would prove that. So, of course, DNA was that trigger for him, which I'm happy it was. So, but he was referencing Copernican model as science, but then later he used DNA as science. So two different usages of science. And we know how we look at science here versus how the world just uses the word. But that argument he made in the first video is that Christians who believe the Genesis record, that God created everything, but then when science proved we were heliocentric, which was opposite of geocentric, Genesis record, then the Christian church just said, well, that too. Okay, so God made that too and jumped on that bandwagon, which is not true of all Christians, but some. And then he says, you can't have that. You can't all of a sudden say it's this, and then science proves it's heliocentric, and then jump and say God did all that too. They're opposites. That was the implication he was making. But then he said that other part that you caught, which is, well, if you've already got your mind set up, then you make allowances for it, okay? Which you did. You caught that perfect, by the way, Nathan. Okay,
so,
and then you say, oh, you mean like evolution, Big Bang, etc. Okay, but then when he goes on, and I'll be done here. Then when he goes on to where he made a change, he references the word science again. And this time science said there is a creator, whereas before it said there was heliocentrism. So he doesn't know the word science, he doesn't know the word thermodynamics, but something happened in his mind that finally said, you know what? There's just too much going on for this to be a Big Bang, which I'm happy for him.
Okay, so there's a link going by to Max Bauer, which is the channel this has come from in this instance. So, as always, please let Max know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and that we responded to this video that he has presumably not produced, but as in this instance published. So please let that particular videographer, Max Bauer in this regard, know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Again, I will reiterate the idea being that were any of these videographers that we've covered today or previously to respond, we would hope that they would put a link to our video to help us in the algorithm where YouTube offers zero algorithmic love. So, offer them some algorithmic love with comments and likes and all that good stuff that promotes Max in this instance in the algorithm, and hopefully we would receive the same in return. So let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. So yeah, good, always good choices, 10th, but you know, got to keep you frosty, got to make sure you're not second guessing yourself before I do.
Well, I'd like for you to finish out the live show with the proper understanding of the usage of the word science and the scientific method.
Well, to use the word science in the context that we deal with, because obviously Flat Earth debate is specifically dealing with the nature of the world. So we're talking specifically about natural science. And all natural science does as a method is establish the cause of an effect. It's a process to elucidate cause. Well, cause of something that you've observed in nature. That would be to say you look at something happening and go, why did that happen? Well, to ask why it happened and then suppose a cause is to formulate half of a hypothesis. That would be a scientific prediction. The half being labelled an alternative hypothesis. If my supposed cause, then the effect I observed. Now that goes alongside something called a null hypothesis to have a full scientific prediction, also known as just a hypothesis. And that would be to say, if my supposed cause, then I won't induce the effect I'm studying and attempting to induce. So when you vary and manipulate that which you suppose causes the effect you're observing in nature, it will either confirm your alternative, that is to say, cause the effect, tick, ruling out the null, or confirm the null, tick, ruling out the alternative. In either event, something's getting proven at the end of the process, and therefore has the ability to ascribe within the method an empirical outcome. The elucidation that it didn't cause it is still available to you empirically if you vary something and it doesn't cause the effect you're studying. Now, the genius obviously lies in the confirmation of the alternative. That is to say, you know what caused the effect you're studying, because then you can advance humanity and society with your scientific empiricism. Now, unfortunately, much of what we discuss on this show has been labelled as science by our opponents. Why? Because that empirical method described by me a moment ago is useful if you don't have empiricism. You can just say you've got science, and people prick their ears up, and having been taught it in high school, automatically know that it's proving something when you give your science for your hair shampoo. So there we go. That's the real method of science. Anything outside of that method, claimed to be science, also has a description that you can define, and that would be pseudoscience, a claim of science that has not been through the scientific method. most of what we deal with isn't science, it's pseudoscience, because it hasn't adhered to the cause and effect reasoning laid down through a hypothesis actualization. That's an experiment where you vary your presumed cause and see if it causes the effect or not. Most of what we deal with hasn't been through that process. There we go. Hope that was what you were. Is that what you were hoping for?
Yeah, but I want to offer something else. I have to find it. I have video of a Christian evangelist, apologetic, even that, on a university campus when a student comes up and says, "Do you believe?" Now, the student is not a Christian, and he's addressing the Christian apologetic guy. "Do you believe the universe is 13 billion years old?" And the answer that I remember, which I'll have to get the exact wording, is, "Well, of course, science proved that already. I accept that," or something to that effect. This Christian apologist said, and I'm like gagging. I'm saying, "You gotta be kidding me! You're going to compromise on a university campus just so you can reach that student for the gospel? Why not just share the truth of the Bible and have the opposition of what the Word of God says to what this hijacking of science has said, aging the universe?" So to me, this is a sad point when Christians compromise. And this is this thing that this first video of Antony Flew was addressing. How can Christians all of a sudden change from geocentric to this point of view, as if God was saying one thing then, and now it's okay to say all this was designed by him at that point, Big Bang. But then later, Flew realizes, no Big Bang, no accident. There is a creator. So this is my fight. And I know there's other Christians like me who make this their fight, which is to say, don't compromise with faulty science as if they have a leg to stand on. So that's why I love your show. Yeah, it's your mic.
What? But hasn't D Rose been doing that, putting hearts and hand claps through the screen for a while now?
No, he does it in G+.
And so do I.
Yeah,
and that annoys the hell out of me, by the way.
It beats you interrupting.
Yeah.
Oh, you fell into that one.
I don't interrupt. I'll say it again. When I go to speak, there's nobody speaking. And as I'm speaking, somebody decides they're going to speak.
No, Neil. You just feel no. You just feel the urge to speak so strongly that your hearing literally shuts off. That's what I actually think is going on.
No. When I go to speak, sometimes, like now, I'm doing it deliberately because you're being an idiot. But when Nathan comes in, starts yelling at me, I haven't heard him speak. I heard him stop.
Yeah, he's just in the middle of a description that you should absolutely know is right in the middle of the description because you know what he's talking about.
Thank you to both of you.
I know what he's talking about, so you know he's having
Please.
You don't do it at all.
Hello?
You're the perfect guy.
Neil.
You don't interrupt at all.
Thank you, Neil.
At the perfect timing.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Arwin. Oh, that's enough.
Thank you, yeah.
You're welcome.
All right.
I want everybody to do a homework assignment and listen to some shows and how you all freaking do it.
I thought it was enough.
Now it is.
Well, you got to get an accelerometer in that tin can with that rope, a phone that you call a phone, so that you can get the right timing.
Oh, boy.
That's going to be the next big thing is gyroscopes and accelerometers and all those things, Nathan, because they wholly misrepresent what those instruments do.
Yeah, I don't mind getting back to gyros. Now there's a nice big highway built for the axis. For the acquisition of the axis, you need a flat Earth. I'm good with that now. It's like before, it's like, gyros? Do I want more 2-hour debates about Coriolis deflection or the lack thereof from either my side or their side? Not really. It's not worth the aggro. What's that? There's a highway built? What's the highway got going for it? Oh, right. To assert the axis in the first place, they need a flat Earth. Oh, cool. Let's talk about gyros again.
What's the name? What's the name of that highway?
You'll need a flat Earth highway.
It's called Refracted Curvature Highway.
All roads lead.
That's not a good name for the highway.
No, it's Route 90 degrees.
That's a good one.
Route 90 degrees.
Route 90. That's good. That's good.
I like that one. That's really good.
That's a keeper.
That's pure genius. Oh, that's why I keep you around.
You're welcome.
That was really good.
I was trying to give John the credit, but Route 90 is perfect.
It's perpendicular, that's for sure. And that's what you'll find with the accelerometers too, and the gyro, everything. It's all based on that.
Right, but every time you say Route 90, if possible, you should like do the little dot thing, the little circle, right? The degree symbol, not say degrees. If you can add it, that would be great.
Yeah, there's a function on the phone, the iPhone 13, that allows you to do that. You put in 90, and then you hold your the 0 button down, and it gives you a choice.
Nice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you could put that degree sign on now.
Yeah.
All right.
I do it in chat all the time. See, the ball believers can never use the term perpendicular. And yet in all the celestial navigation, as well as other topics that relate to the navigation and all that concerns that, always use the word perpendicular. So it's like, how can you say perpendicular? Oh, you're going to the center of the earth, hell, the equatorial plane. That's where you're using that word.
Angles from hell.
Well, just think of what they've done since we've all uncovered this, as the argument got more refined. They could never prove celestial navigation or elevation angles from a curved surface. Duh. So they've always done it from a flat surface, which can't have if you're on the ball. So the only place on the ball there's a flat surface is if you go to the center and cut it and show a disc, half of the ball, and say this is where the angle originates from, and this is where the vertex is, and this is where the navigator would have to be. And see, we can get the angle, and we can subtract it from this 90. Yeah, we get it. But why do you have to go there when you're supposed to be getting it from the arc of the protractor, your globe? Why can't you get it from the arc of the protractor, your globe surface?
Because they can only get it from Route 90.
That's right. Route 90 is at the center of the earth. So they transpose it with a tangent plane touching where? At one point on that sphere surface? Well, that would be the observer. And where's the horizon? That would be another tangent point with a different tangent plane. And they would be diverging zeniths, which can't work. So they die every time they try to do it from the surface, but they live long when they do it from the center of the earth, because that is what they're doing it from, a flat plane all along. It's never been any different. They turn the flat plane of our earth into the center of the ball and say, see, it works.
It's just imagination assist, right? You're doing it on that flat plane, and then they paint a little ball around it so you can just remember, oh, wait, remember the earth is still a ball, though, right?
Yeah, exactly, Arwen. It's that hamburger.
That's even good the way you said that. They paint the ball around it. They don't take it to the center. They start there, then they paint the ball globe around it and say, this is where we're doing it from.
That's the hamburger bun that Nathan was talking about. And the globe burger is at the center. And And that's the arc of the protractor. You can say it that way too. So isn't it a tell, like no other tell, when they have to draw straight lines in order for it to work?
I'd say so. And it's a tell that nobody comes in here anymore to challenge it. That's the biggest tell.
Well, but Jaron missed it with McToon when he drew a tangent plane. I mean, it's so obvious. You would just say, why are you doing that? Why can't you use the surface as is?
Yeah, but Jaron missed it because he wanted to miss it. He just don't want anything that's coming from this side to be effective.
All right, let me
rather play stupid and agree with McToon.
All right, let me give you an example. McToon says Tune 2 is 7, and I'm Jaron, and I know Tune 2 is 4. And let me role play. Yeah, you see, here's Tune 2 is 7, tangent plane on the globe. Same thing. Oh, okay, so it can work on the globe. Tune 2 can be 7 on the globe. Okay, so it's a draw. Now, I look stupid because I know 2 and 2 is 4, but I'm going to agree with the opposition that it's 7 if I draw a tangent plane. And so it can work on the globe with a tangent plane. Isn't that telling you something? You need a straight horizontal surface for it to work.
That's actually very good. That's basically what he did. McToon said 2 and 2 is 7, and freaking Jaron said yes.
Right.
That's right.
So if Jaron's willing to look stupid with McToon's 2 and 2 is 7, so that he could win against Nathan Oakley 1980, do more of those shows. I love him.
Yeah, I see your point. He's only helping us.
Yeah, totally. I mean, to me, I try to do the truth as much as possible, unless I'm mistaken and I have a false premise that leads me to say something until someone corrects me. But consciously, I'm never trying to lie to anybody. But if someone comes and says 2 and 2 is 7, when I already know objectively and factually in every possible way that 2 and 2 is 4, I'm going to just stand that 2 and 2 is 4. I'm going to stand that horizontal means level, straight. I'm not going to say it curves. Unless someone could show me horizontal curving, but no one has.
I'm not really interested in horizontal curve. I mean, why does it matter whether the horizon is curved or not when you can clearly, let me just say it the sloppy way, when you can clearly see things way too far at too low an observation height? But like, yeah, I mean, why does it matter whether it looks like curved or not out there? It's got to be flat. There's no spherical geometry to it.
Exactly. Well, the spherical geometry relies upon the principles of it being flat. The derivation from eye level to surface level. Well, surface level is level. To derive the notion that it's too far, as you described it, or too far with what respect to the geometric horizon below surface level.
If the equatorial plane, the center of the Earth, is not referred by them as horizontal, it couldn't work from there either. So you can't have the equatorial plane being flat, straight, horizontal to get your angles, and then say it can mean something different later.
Oh, but they love to do that, right? They really like having that cake and eating it, depending on the argument, right?
Yeah, they do. But that's, again, you're stuck in your bias and you're fighting your made up mind on a subject. And when someone offers contrary evidence, rather than entertaining the possibility you were taught wrong, you defend what you were taught to the point of sounding silly, calling horizontal curve.
Right. And they'll go at any length, right, in the back and forth too. I mean, they'll start out saying, no, boats go over the horizon because it's geometric. And then you point out, wait, but we have a black swan observation when that's not happening. So, and then they say, yeah, but you can't see the geometric horizon, even though earlier they said, yeah, but a boat goes over the horizon, even though now it's not geometric. And if you point that out, they'll even try to put it together and say it's still not contradicting.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. Well, this is why words mean things, and the Socratic method, we get them to define words. So that way they have a position before the argument starts. I find this to be the best way. What do you mean when you say this? What do you mean when you say that? And get them committed first. And then they can't retract now, or it's double stupid.
Right, but that's why they don't like to be specific. That's why they don't immediately answer detailed questions. They like to continue with their story explanation in which they don't go that specific so that they can be more dynamic when they change their entire approach.
All right, I'll give you a trick that I use. It's not a trick, it's obvious, and I've already commented on it. It says in all the books that the angle is emanating from the center of Earth. Here's a depiction of one of the books showing how it's done. And in fact, you can see it's a circle, it's a disc, and it shows a 90 degree. So you got the horizontal line going from the center to the edge of the circle, which is the equator in your world. And then you got a vertical going straight up. And then see that 90 box? You achieve a 90 here? Yeah, okay. Is that curved or is that a straight line? Is that radius curving? No, that's a straight line. There's no curve. Radiuses don't curve. Okay,
Right.
this is how, and this is how you get your angles, right? Right. Now they're stuck. They just told you radius doesn't curve, and so it has to be horizontal. now,
No.
now it's
They're real-
over because they die if they go to the surface and try to make it work from there.
No, but it just gets way more convoluted because they'll have to embrace terrestrial refraction, then say, yeah, that's why it all seems to be flat. That's why the navigation works, but it's actually spherical. And that's then why you do it from the center of Earth, that is on a flat plane, is only like a miniature. So above, so below. It's actually on the surface, but it's shown that way. And it's like, because it works that way on the flat, but they still show you the globe because to remind you that because of terrestrial refraction, that you don't see it as a globe and you don't measure it as a globe. You don't use it as if it were a globe, but it's still a globe because they painted it around it.
Yeah, I could overcome that. Let's bend that equatorial plane into what the globe is, a curved surface. Now, could it work? No. Okay. So I must match that. It can't be unmatched with that. Isn't that why they draw the tangent plane, to match it?
Oh, but you're overlooking that terrestrial refraction makes everything into a flat plane as we see it.
Okay, so now that's even better argument because then, so refraction. So on this day, and I show images where horizon is close and another one horizon is far. I say, so on this day, the Earth is changing sizes. And then I remind them of Al-Biruni, who didn't know about refraction. I said, this is a weak argument on your part because it has nothing to do with the horizon. It has to do with refraction.
Right, but we're dealing with celestials, and the Earth is much more subjected to terrestrial refraction than the celestials, which do not change angular position because of terrestrial refraction. You see?
No.
You just can't see the underside of the celestial sphere because the upward projected Earth is blocking that part.
No, the refraction when you're using the stars is not terrestrial. It's not in a different medium. Sorry.
Right. No, but that's the exact point that I'm making. That's why it does work. Because the stars will still be in their place. It's just that the Earth now appearing to be somewhat flat visually is blocking the bottom half of the assumed to be celestial sphere that surrounds the globe.
You've lost
That's
already
terrestrial
so much.
refraction.
Nice try.
Try, no success. That's exactly how it works.
In your own mind.
And in theirs.
It's the unbending of the globe. You make the globe flatter and flatter based on the day. Good try.
It just looks flat.
Because it is.
And it just appears to be measured flat. But
because it is.
It is a sphere.
Because it is. Because
No,
it's
it
from
isn't a
the flat
sphere.
surface.
It doesn't become spherical. You agreed with his last statement. It is what, a sphere because it's measured flat? Definitely not.
No, but it just appears to be flat, and it appears to be measured flat, but it's a sphere.
No, it is measured flat.
The measurement's coming from the center where it's flat. It's never coming from the place you're talking about. So yeah, refraction has nothing to do with it, because at the center there is no refraction.
Below, it's not really there. They do that to mask that it just appears to be measured on a flat plane.
Exactly. On a sphere, in a sphere, what difference does it make?
Exactly. The sphere is there for visual support to remind you that despite terrestrial refraction, you're still doing it on a globe. So it has a double function, right? The observing sphere that they actually use on that flat plane, the thing that's the optical side, and then there's the actual side, and that's the geometric side. That's the sphere that's painted around it.
Yeah.
You're standing on that sphere, so it's like a dual presentation, see?
Surplus to requirement.
Surplus, yeah. It's like the protractor. You've just turned the protractor into the globe, but you're still dealing with the flat plane in a sphere. If you turn the protractor into the sphere and then project out through the sphere, actually a protractor, to the stars from the flat plane. So it's not, well, it's still got a sphere wrapped around it. Well, yeah, but you're not on a sphere when you're measuring from the flat plane that they wrap around, that they have wrapped round with a sphere. I'll phrase that badly because I'm about to round out.
Yeah, but the problem is that it is a sphere. It's just not measured like a sphere, and it doesn't look like a sphere.
Listen, Darwin.
You're standing on a sphere, damn it.
Darwin, where's the vertex?
On the plane.
It's over there.
It's over there.
Well, that's going to be my cue to round out. So with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all of that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!